Yeah, bridging the gap. Nyomi Banks, the goddess. Tune in. Hey yo, Black, where we at? Elements. Got a problem? What's the issue? Ask Nyomi for advice, she will bless you. Is it sex, love, or relationships? If your spirits are down, you can get a daily uplift.
All right. It's your girl, the goddess, Nyomi Banks, and welcome to another episode of Ask Nyomi, Bridging the Gap. This is where we talk about love, sex, relationship, cultural differences, and everything, literally everything, while bridging the gap, excuse me, and teaching the world on love, sex, attitude, language, and spiritual uplifting. So today's topic, we're talking about what? Grief versus mourning. And I just want to heal. Let's heal. Y'all ready for this?
Let's do it.
All right. So we're going to take a quick break for our sponsor. Then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about this. Hey, it's your girl, the goddess, Nyomi Banks. And Sexy Is Cosmetic is our official sponsor here at Ask Nyomi, Bridging the Gap. So you guys make sure you go by sexyiscosmetic.com and let them know Nyomi sent you. Get a great discount. They are naturally 100% organic, vegan. They sell everything from soap to scrubs to everything for you to keep you sexy always. Sexy Is Cosmetics. Use the code AskNyomi for a 10% discount. All right. Thank you, Sexy Is Cosmetics. They are our official sponsor here at Ask Nyomi, Bridging the Gap. But before we kick this off, I want to say, what's up? Dr. Mike, you ready for this, baby?
What's happening? Yeah, I'm ready for it.
You ready for it?
Yes, I am.
You know, this is a crazy thing because I've had this show kind of mapped out or planned out for up to 6 months from now. Right. Like literally every week has been a topic for me, a different topic that I had. And let me be honest, not now one of now I'm going country. Not now one of my topics that I have already planned. Yes, that I planned and that I did the topics and all of the research for, that I'm literally, no, we're not talking about those things.
Nope.
So evidently I am sitting here literally and allowing to be used in the spirit that I'm supposed to be used. So let me go and say this. All right. So I know you guys had saw a post that I had posted. I actually posted on Tuesday. I posted my first post on Saturday, and I'm going to speak about that one in a minute. But I post on Tuesday. It was a testimony Tuesday that I spoke about. And I was speaking about, I had just found out that a very dear friend of mine who had passed away this past weekend, Saturday. And I didn't understand the way that I was feeling because I hadn't felt that way in so long. I hadn't felt that way since literally my father passed away in 2009, I believe it was. And my grandmother who passed a few years later. And that is where I was feeling, it from. But I hadn't felt that grief like that before. And I've had so many family members who have passed away since then. So I had posted there to try to see, if anybody else agreed with me, was it grief or mourning? And I thought at some point in time, I was in the mourning stages. So let me say this, because throughout all of the people that has passed away, especially in 2020, I truly thought that I was healing from all of that. You understand what I'm saying? So in that process of healing through that, I didn't think that this would happen, that I would feel the way that I've been feeling with the grieving process of it. So let me go back and say this. I'm gonna go back and talk about my message that I got on Saturday. So I got this message on Saturday, and if anybody follow me on Ask Nyomi on that page, every Saturday I post a message from my my morning prayer and meditation that I usually post from there, and I post a message. And this past weekend, the message was forgiveness. And what I thought that message, I didn't think that message was directly for me, but what I thought that message was for family members and friends that I knew that had a breakdown, that needed to understand that maybe this is the time for the breakdown to come, because later on it's probably for a better build up. Right. And that's what I was thinking. After I got that message, I felt that I was feeling good, because I was getting ready to lay some floor down in the back. I was getting ready to do the thing. You know, I had my my outfits together because I was ready to shoot some content. Like, I was going to do everything. Like, everything was going to be it for me. So then all of a sudden I started feeling bad. Like, literally, after I went downstairs, I cooked breakfast for the little one. As I'm walking upstairs, I'm feeling tired. I'm like, why am I feeling so tired? Like, what is going on? Like, why am I feeling this way? So as I'm walking, and I start to get dizzy, like my equilibrium is off. I'm like, okay, what's really going on? Did I get COVID again? This is things that was running through my head. So I was like, okay, let me lay down. Let me rest for a second. Let me figure this all out. You know, so as I'm trying to figure this out, I'm laying there and realize that, girl, you can't do nothing today. So either you caught the flu, or you got COVID, right, or something, but today is not the day that you are doing this. So maybe we'll try again tomorrow on Sunday. Mind you, so let me say this. You see my two piece lilies back here? These po two babies were like limped over, like they were dying, literally like they were dying. I'm like, what is going on? So the way that they looked was the way that I was feeling that day. So I gave them a little water. Mind you, I had watered them 2 days before. So I was thinking, why are they doing, well, you know, why are they feeling this way? So fast forward Sunday. Sunday, I wake up full of energy, just, you know, whatever. I come downstairs, my peace lilies, they standing straight up tall. I'm like, okay, today is going to be a good day. I come downstairs, I come to my location, to my Westland. I put a floor down. I towel some floor down here with, yes, I do that. Towel some floor down there, did all of that, was great. I'm like, okay. Then I was like, okay, I need some more stuff. I went to the store. It's probably about 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. I get a phone call from my auntie telling me, did you know one of your friends had passed away? I didn't know one of your friends. I said, no. Like, I just talked to her not too long ago, you know, a few months ago. She never said anything was going on. So from there, she said, yeah. So I went on social media and I saw that everybody was saying rest in peace, rest in heaven, whatever. So I came home. I didn't even go to any more stores. I came directly home and I called her phone in hopes that her husband would answer. And sure enough, he did. He answered probably on the second ring. And I asked him, I said, I just heard, I just heard that your wife, I'm not going to say her name, that she passed away yesterday. And he said, yes, she did. And I was saying, you know, the words, you have no words. And this was probably the first time that I was ever speechless at this moment, because it kind of grabbed right here at the throat. And so I was like, okay, you know, I asked him a few questions. I told him, you know, I'm praying for him. If there's anything that he needs, I'm here, you know, just let me know. And that actually confirmed it for me. So now as I'm in a house and I'm walking upstairs, and now I'm walking to my mom's room to kind of express to her, to tell her what happened to my friend. And as I'm walking up the stairs, before I know it, I'm out of breath, my heart just going. And then before I knew it, it's just like a river fall of tears, just emotions just came just going. And I'm like, what is happening? Because usually I'm the one who is consoling everybody and holding everybody in, and, you know, and trying to get everybody together. And I couldn't, I literally couldn't. That whole day, you know, I called the rest of my girlfriends, who we called ourselves, we were like the Hootie Hoo crew. That was the name of our crew. I've known this young lady since we were in high school. Like, I ran against her in high school from the time she was a year older than me. My freshman year in high school at Thornwood, she was at Rich East. We ran against each other. I beat her. Sorry, I'm just saying. But we ran against each other. Then I transferred to Bremen, and we ran against each other again. But then once we graduated from high school, we became really, really good friends. And when I say really, really good friends, like she's been through with me through my first marriage, through the birth of my kids. You know, she like been there with me through everything as well as I had. But we had a breakdown. We had a breakdown in communication, in all of those things. And let me tell you where the breakdown came from. The breakdown came down is that a few years before my grandmother passed away, she had found out that she was diagnosed with brain cancer. And I remember, and every time she would call me or I would call her, I would speak with her and have very uplifting words and encouraging words. But this one year, my grandmother had passed away out of the blue. And I no longer had any encouraging words for her. And at that moment, I felt like, where are my encouraging words for me? And I'm just going to be honest. And I kind of like distanced myself away from her because I felt she was draining my energy. And I don't think she was. I think what it was is that at that time, we needed each other and did not know how to help each other in that need. You understand what I mean? You understand in that need. But with all of that, and why I'm speaking about that is because this is where all of that grief was. When I'm saying that grief and that I thought that I was done with that during my grandmother's stages. And I think I grieved for my grandmother for damn near 2-3 years. Mm-hmm. I shut down chocolate radio. Like I literally just went food. Like literally, I think my grandmother left a whole bunch of adult orphans behind because it hit so hard. It hit so hard. But then as I'm sitting and I'm thinking about it, like, okay, this is what I really need to talk about, because that message that she sent me, she passed away on Saturday morning. Mm-hmm. That was when I was going through all the things. And you never know how connected you is with a person, how deep you are connected with a person until they leave. Now, for me, one thing is that I have a very special gift, and it might sound weird to a lot of you people. Usually before somebody passed away, I promise you, I always have a dream. Either a dark angel comes to me or that person comes to me in my dreams the night before they pass away. And usually they're sick. Usually they're sick and they're ill. But this, I did not get one from her. But what I did is I got that message through my prayer and meditation and it freaked me out. So today, I'm trying to heal. I'm still trying to heal. And what that did when my good girlfriend passed away is that it just brought up a whole lot of things that I probably just swept under the rug with it, and not really kind of going through the process of really healing with things. But not only want to share my story, but I know I have some dear friends of mine. I even have a family member that has lost her family members, both of her parents. And I want to ask her a few questions. I also want her to share, what have been her, coping, or how she's been able to heal from this process, or has she healed from this process? All right, so we're going to bring her in. No, not yet.
She click back in.
I said she click back in. All right, so within this process, what I did learn, because once this came up and once I felt this on Sunday, I didn't say anything on Monday. I didn't post anything. I didn't do anything. And then I came back on Tuesday with it. And it was like, when I started looking it up about the grief, and this is what I really said, okay, hold on. Because the way you feel right now, you ain't never felt. Like I stopped moving. And it was like, there are different stages of grief that you go through. Right. And I did not realize that. So what I want to do right now is I want to bring our guest in right now, Miss Adama. I want to bring her in right now. And I want to just hear her story. Hi, beautiful. How are you?
Hi, cousin. We're live.
I know we are live, baby. Well, welcome to Ask Nyomi, Bridging the Gap. And I am, first of all, thank you. Thank you for being courageous and bold to be able to share your story with my audience here.
Well, thank you. It's interesting because I've actually been talking about mourning and grieving a lot lately. Yes, I have lost both of my parents. I'm an only child. We've lost many wonderful matriarchs, patriarchs, you know what I mean? And with that, you know, we've been given the torch, you know what I'm saying? So it goes along with our lineage. I've grown in a way by knowing that with life comes death. That's the inevitable. You can't have one without the other. And but suffering is a choice too. And the experience that I had during that time was there's quite a bit. I've already decided I'm not crying on this thing. Okay, I'm not doing it. Okay, I'm not crying on this thing.
Well, okay? I haven't brought my tissue here, so no, we're not gonna do that.
Not doing that.
You better not do this to me, Adama.
I'm not. But I did get for me, it was so the conversation I'm having now is mourning versus grieving. So for me, the mourning process versus the grieving process. I think the mourning started pre the loss. You already knew that if you're so fortunate to know that this is happening, that this is coming upon you. So that happened. I already had the opportunity to kind of get into the feel of losing that person. And I'm just going to use it as a loosely to say the loss of anything, even though loss of life is top, you know, the top. But yeah, and then the grieving part happened just naturally immediately afterwards. You know what I mean? That's organic. And then from there, I had the choice as to how long I was going to grieve, how in what way I was going to grieve. The mourning is a sadness to me. It doesn't go away. You know what I mean? It does, but I'm not grieving anymore. My parents are gone. I speak to them. I mourn the comforts
of them being here.
I mourn those. I especially mourn those moments when there's growing pains as an adult, and I can't go to them for those basics. You know what I mean? The mourning process is, and I can go even further with the mourning because I was also speaking to not using the word good morning anymore. Like I tend to say good day instead of good morning because it implies this waking up and mourning. And then someone even went further to say, like, so when you wake up, you start off at awake in morning. You know, this shit can go on, you know what I mean? But if you think about what it is to feel a sense of mourning, those are two totally different experiences. We're waking up in the morning. That's supposed to be a breath of fresh air. Life anew, you know. And recently I've been playing a lot with I dabble in the tarot, but I've been playing a lot. You know, you get your New Year's, like, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna do these important things I'm supposed to do. So I've been getting the death card a lot. And for some that might imply something scary. But what it does is it hints to a letting go of the old life. We have to transition in so many ways. And a lot of times in death, we don't have the choice. It's not an option. It's a shift. And everybody, we can't shield the children from it. We can't shield ourselves. But we have wisdom as we grow. And that there tells us that once we let go of things and then something else comes in, not to replace it. And it's not a void, not to fill a void, but it's just, if we can focus on the newness of life more often than focusing on the heaviness of loss, despair, grief. and recognizing too, oh, I'm in this constant state of mourning.
Yeah.
You know, now we're at a point to where like, now we're like, shoot, is my mom and dad mourning too? Are they grieving because I'm still mourning?
Mourning, yeah.
You know, so I really thought it was poignant what you also said too about your friend and not having, it wasn't that you lacked compassion. It was just, I believe they call it compassion fatigue.
Compassion for what? Say that again.
Compassion fatigue.
Okay.
We get spent.
Yeah, you know what? And I believe that is what it was. And I think at that time, and you know, when grandma passed away, that was a point for me and everybody else, because that was our matriarch. You understand what I'm saying? So that was, as I felt, that was my foundation. That was my base. And now that is gone, you know, so most of the words that have come out of my mouth, those words were coming from her. You understand what I'm saying? So now that those very words that was coming from him, not saying that I was saying every word for word, verbatim for what she was saying, but that is where I was built at. And now that is gone. I don't know how to handle that at this moment. So I'm thinking, you as your friend, I have been the very best friend to you as possible. And I looked that into every one of my friends. You understand what I'm saying? And I understand we all go through something at certain times, but with me speaking with her at that moment, and it was like, we're saying the same thing over and over again. So can we focus on me? And that's where I felt the other day was the guilt, because just that little bitty minute thing right there stopped me from speaking to her for 3 years. So I missed 3 years of her life.
Yeah.
You understand? And that's what I felt on Sunday. Like literally, I'm up with my sister and my other girlfriend, and we up playing all the music that we had when we was in Miller, Indiana. Like, you know, just doing the thing, the dances and all of the routines, just doing it. And all I can do is just cry, you know, just like God. But not knowing until I got up on Monday was just reading, like, I am going through, like literally in that one day, I'm going through all the 7 stages of grief. Like it's hitting me like this. And it was like this, it knocked me the fuck out. Like literally.
It's exhausting. And some people stay in that, like for some people that can be a crutch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Being in that state, like I do my darndest. Like when I speak of my parents, I speak of them in a way like they were an obvious part of my life and my existence and still are, because the fact that I'm a singular person now, being an only child and not having them there, not having children of my own or family, you know what I mean? I have a family, obviously, cousin, but you know what I mean? It's easy to kind of get into that, oh, poor me.
Yeah.
Because I even had the experience too when I'd gotten a little desensitized. I didn't cry after mommy passed, and it was more like a don't let daddy cry thing. You know what I mean? Then when he passed and everybody wanted to show me all this love and compassion, I was tuckered out. I didn't feel like I didn't feel like crying when they wanted to cry and kumbaya and hold hands. And then I felt like a jerk, like I was this insensitive jerk who had lost feeling but I don't know the 7 stages of grief. Mm-hmm. But what I can imagine is that there is a point of probably there's some denial there. There's some acceptance that has to show up. And so if you don't.
Right. So let me cut you off there, because that's something that I did want to share with the 7. So the number 1 is, and what they say is that it doesn't come in any type of order, but the first one is the shock and the denial. It is. It's like the state of disbelief, you know, of the numb feeling, like, you know, something is happening, you know, that they're gone. No, they ain't gone. They coming back. You know, is that not true? But for you, especially with your dad, you were kind of prepared for that, because you said you were like with him throughout the whole journey of it and sat with him. So for you, and this is where I got to ask you your question for you, and maybe that's why it seemed like you were so numb in that feeling to everybody on the outside, because you watched the whole transition happen. So for you, how do you feel? And I guess you already answered it. I guess you already answered, because you already had in your mind, you already went through the mourning stages right then with him at that time. You know what I mean? So now it's the grief. So my question is, was that grief your grief, or was that grief family grief?
You know what? I was just thinking that it was a combination of things, because not only was it the sadness for me, it was the sadness for him. It was the sadness of, again, the loss is not just that of the person. It's this, you know, the loss of life is not just the flesh body.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The loss of life is the dreams and plans you had. You know, like, oh, we was gonna do this tomorrow. You know what I mean? And now wait a minute, you're not gonna be with me forever.
Right.
I'm not gonna be with you forever. I mean, it's just the same, like when people change.
Right.
We change, you become a mother, you change. You can't, and we deal with the loss and the shock and all these things of losing the relationships that we've even had with people.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there is gonna be those milestones where, you know, one day when I become a mother and I'm like, oh, my kid needs a grandma, I might return to that grief state. You know what I'm saying? Just for a little bit. And it's okay to sit in that, because when's the last time you might have cried about something important versus all the other shit that's pissing you off? Like, I think it's okay as long as it doesn't last for too long, because the shock is traumatic.
Yeah.
It's traumatic and it creates a change. And I had to get to a point where I could come out of that numb, insensitive part and get back to the warmth and the hugs and the love without it having to be a pity party or a sad place. But I never got into a pity party. I mean, I think we've had enough churches, enough funerals. I feel where. I mean, I don't know.
No. All right. So the number 2 was the pain and guilt. So it says you may feel the loss is unbearable and that you're making other people's lives harder because your feelings and your needs. And I think for me, I felt that on Sunday. And going back, I felt that for a long time when my grandmother passed away. I felt
guilt?
that,
You felt guilt?
I felt like, because she wanted me to move back home.
Oh man.
She wanted me every time I came to visit, every time Toy came to visit, came and got me, and we went to go see my grandma. She was like, so when you moving back, baby? And I'm like, I'm not coming back here, grandma. Like literally. So that was the guilt and the pain. So the guilt with T was that I wasted 3 years. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasted 3 years of being mad at her. And really, I was mad at myself because I wasn't there for her. Can I be honest?
Yeah.
Because regardless on what she was to me, I still should have been showing up for her. You know what I mean? You know, so it was more of the guilt on my part of like, girl, you know better. Your mama always told you to be more of a friend than a friend is to you, because sometimes people don't know how to be a friend, but you do. So stop looking for you in other people and be who you are.
Wow.
You know, and that's when, like I say, when that foundation is gone and it's rocked, everything else is kind of, you know, it's, you know, so. And look at my contact kind of going all out of whack. You see that? But that one was the pain and the guilt. For you, did you go through that stage?
Well, I think that the guilt part, that could be everlasting if you let that be everlasting too. Because I'm still feeling guilty about not giving daddy that cigarette he asked me for. No, mommy, she wanted a cigarette. I feel guilty about giving daddy that weed and then he choked. I was like, man, he's coughing. No. I mean, I could think of so many things that I feel a little guilty for. And then I can also think of things where I'm still waiting for daddy to come back from the grave to apologize for that shit he pulled. You know what I mean? And can we curse here?
Yeah, yes.
Oh my goodness. I'm a God-fearing woman, okay? God knows my heart. And that's true. But yeah, so I mean, it's the pain. Okay, the pain and the guilt. So is the pain from the suffering or is the pain from the guilt? What kind of?
I think the pain is more from that person no longer being here on earth in a physical form that you can touch and hurt. That's like a hurt. That feels like I said, I don't know if you were listening in the beginning. When I was walking up the stairs, when her husband confirmed it to me as I'm walking up the stairs, it just felt like something that in my chest. And
like
I
so
felt
bad.
fear, like, like, oh, and that was pain for me. Like, it was painful. Like, it was just like, why am I hurting like this? But that is a part of the guilt. You know what I'm saying? That's like a combination, a part of the guilt that's in there is that, like, damn, like, oh,
so that's stage 2, guilt.
Yeah, that's stage 2. Yeah, that's stage 2.
Okay, and that could be from a little bit of guilt or a whole lot of guilt. I mean, guilt is awful. I mean, we got into a bad argument one day. I think we was supposed to be ordering pizza or something, and he started to stutter. And I thought for some reason that in the moment, I just didn't know no better. Mm-hmm. So, and then he was being real mean and cussed me out, and I got mad and left. But he was in the middle of having a mini stroke. Yeah. I didn't know that. I didn't know what those signs look like.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if I wanted to, I could spend a lifetime in a state of guilt about if only I had, or I should have known this, or I wish I would have went to medical school. I mean, I mean, at some point, I mean, I guess these are the stages. And if you don't feel these things, it's probably not, you're probably not functioning emotionally. That would be my guess, that if you don't go through these stages, that there might be something wrong with
you.
Yeah.
I got you. I got you. So number 3 is anger and bargaining. Okay, so let me tell you this. So I ain't gonna lie, I was like, what bargaining? Like, what are we bargaining? So I literally had to go look bargaining up, like, in this sense of what it meant, in this sense of grief in the 7 stages. Because, you know, when you think about bargaining, you thinking about, you know, can I get that for $10, or can I get that for 20? You know, let's bargain in that aspect. But what it says is that you may lash out, telling God or a higher power that you'll do anything they ask if they only grant you the relief for those feelings. What? You want me to read it again? I'm going to read it again. You may lash out, telling God or a higher power that you'll do anything they ask if they only grant you relief from these feelings. So you say, God, look, I don't want to feel this way no more. Can you take this away from me? Like, I would do anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I would stop. And I can remember doing those things at a point. I don't think, did I do it this? I don't think I did. But I just remember feeling that when speaking of my dad and my grandmother, that I don't want to feel this way again, even though I was prepared for my dad passing away, but I wasn't for my grandmother. And even though for T, it was there, but I didn't realize that it had came back. So I thought I had time to rebuild that friendship back up. You understand what I'm saying? So in that process of me bargaining, like, why am I feeling this way? Because I've had deaths, you know, throughout the whole time. I just had my aunt passed away, my sister-in-law passed away, like my brother-in-law, like so many people have passed away just this past year alone. And I didn't feel this way. So why am I feeling this way today? Why am I feeling this way these 2 days?
So after you get done bargaining with God to take it away, is that where the anger comes in? We get mad at God for not taking it away?
No, I think it's more, let me be honest, because some people are mad at God. Some people are mad at their higher power and their God for that, because they feel like, God, this is what you do. This is what you do. So this good person who is and who's doing everything in the world and would do with everything, and you take this person away. But what we seem to not understand is that sometimes the spirits need them more, because there's more work that needs to be done that's not on this earth, that they can do more there. That's something that I've learned throughout the past few years, is that maybe my work here, I'm doing it here, but I know that when I leave this earth in my bodily form, I know that my work up there is going to be phenomenal. You understand what I'm saying? So that was helped me make it more comfort for me. And that's what I thought, that it would be more easier for me to handle her passing. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I'm still a little, the bargaining part kind of still perplexes me a little bit. I do see what you mean though. Like I'll do anything to make this go away. Because I think that just adds to the disappointment. You know,
Yeah,
I think it's still a part of the denial. Like,
right, it's right, but this is part of the 7 stages that you go through before you can get to that part to where you're literally, you know, what you're starting to heal. You know what I mean?
Right. It's not logic. It's just
right. This is grief. This is emotion. Right. This is all kinds of things that happen. So what this is they just breaking it down to the stages. And it's like even you sitting there and you recognizing the stages. As I was reading this, I'm marking down like, damn, I did. But not knowing, because guess what? Every day when somebody passes away, every day we live and we just go on. We like, okay, that's what happened. I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna go, and then I move on. Never acknowledging anything that you're going through. Never acknowledging the different steps or the different feelings that you're going through. We just moving, not knowing that probably all of this is a build up to everything, you know, that's happening, and we go. So we don't go get help, or we don't go healing, or we don't go look up anything, or don't do any research of it. You know, don't do anything. Just go through the motions.
And if you don't have the time to do that, I could see how you could end up missing certain stages. Mm-hmm. And then you end up with this anxiety. You end up having to go through these stages later on, past beyond the process, and folks is like, what's wrong with you? And you're like, it's 3 years later and you over here angry and bargaining with God, like, God, take this away, it's been 3 years.
Right. So let me ask you this. So let me ask you this. I remember it was another friend of mine that lost their mother, and they had asked me, you know, how are you handling it, because they knew I lost my father. And I said, and it's like, I should be over this. I said, don't give yourself a time limit of when you should be over anything. But just make sure you continually to keep moving and growing in that. You know what I'm saying? And not just keep yourself stifled. But you can cry, like cry, shit. Like right. That's what, you know, do that. But don't get stuck in that, you know, in that space, you know, right there in that space. All right. So number 4, we're going to move on. So number 4 is depression. Okay. I did that. Yeah, I did that. And I did that this week. But guess what? This right here, this show and getting ready for this show allowed me to come out of it. And that's truth.
I don't know if I had time to be depressed. I mean, I did. I don't know if I was paying attention. To be, you know, I don't know if I went into a deep into a depression as much as I did feel a little, okay, there's deep rest. Someone describes depression as deep rest. And then if you think about depression, like to depress something, like to be kind of, I could say there was a low, like a sunkenness, like a sunken kind of feeling experience, and you kind of push through your days, because, you know, mommy expired on the day the liquor license expired, so I had to turn into a business owner the next day and show up in a certain kind of way. And was that depressing? I don't know if I remember being I don't know. I feel like I'd be lying if I said I was depressed.
Okay, so let me, because, you know, let me say this. When you say depressed, especially to Black people, let's be real. When you say depressed, depressed is a cuss word. Depressed is when you calling somebody a bitch or whatever. Like, I
got sleepy. I got really sleepy.
Like, what are you talking about? I got everything in order. And seeing this is what's wrong with us Black folks. And can I be real? It's because at times we do go through depression. You know, and they act like it's such a bad word. It's when you start to feel lonely. And I notice because I see this every day from my mom. You know, after my dad passed away and her mom, who was my grandmother, passed away, that's where the loneliness come in. You understand what I'm saying? You said this not too long ago. It's like, we're supposed to have been doing something yesterday. You know what I mean? And so, and those things, those set of minds that get to where, oh, wow, you know, and you not moving the same way that you wanted or you supposed to move, because you are in this kind of like stagnate, you know, type of movement or type of energy. like that spirit, like that depression kind of do it like that. So I'm not saying like go like when people say depression, they feel like I got to go get some medication. I got to do this. I got to do that. Everybody live with depression every day. Trust and believe. I'd say probably 98% of this world is in depression right now. I bet.
Unbeknownst to them. And
yes.
that's where the anxiety comes in, because that's why everybody has to have a panic attack, because they're suppressing the depression.
Yes. Yes.
The suppression of the depression is making people lose it.
Yes. Yeah. But because I know you gotta go. But I want to continue to do this with you. And then after that, we're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna come back, and then we're gonna talk some more stuff. But so that was number 4. So number 5, the upward turn. So they say at this point of the stages, the stages of grief like anger, and the grief like anger. And I lost that other paper, but the upward turn. So I'm thinking this is where everything starts to turn. You know, where everything is. So now you starting to get an understanding of what everything is, on why you feeling this way. You understand what I'm saying? You know, and why we feel. We just left Dog Pound Mike just out of this conversation, just all together. Just out of. So I guess that's when we start the healing process. You know what I mean? Where we start to acknowledge, a little bit. So that anger is no longer that anger, that we do understand why things happen. And now we got to figure out, how can we get there? Right? How can we move forward?
Like that moment when you wake up and you don't wake up crying, and you forgot that you were supposed to be sad. Like, oh yeah, I was suffering. Oh, let's get back to this sadness and this depression. But unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't happen as quickly for some than others. And I don't know if that's where wisdom comes in, because loss is going to always have that kind of knee jerk. And then poker face. Yeah. We got to suppress these things and make ourselves look like we've had that upward turn a little bit sooner for other people to feel, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yes, the upward turn, I could see that. I think that for me, the depression, I think I had more suppression.
Okay.
Didn't know it was depression. And then, so now I think I'm realizing this. I had a lot of suppression.
Okay.
Hence the non-crying because I'm a crybaby. That's like my thing. Like, let's burst. And that wasn't happening. So I think I suppressed those things. But also, too, I think my natural disposition for just wanting to be is so heavy. That's so painful to be so heavy. I can't live my life that way. So the upward turn, I don't know if I forced that experience on myself, or even I think I had great people around me who were there to support all of that. Oh, I'm getting all the tingles and all the weird feelings. And now it's time to go, because I'm getting the weird fuzzy feelings. But yeah, that upward turn, that's the gift that keeps on giving. If you get that, if you can wake up and continue to count your blessings and appreciate the life that someone else even had, because they were put here to fulfill something. We all have a purpose of sorts, and we may not understand what that is, but that could even be for the sole purpose of you having to go through this experience. So that you can reach another level in your in your journey in this life, and maybe more lives, and also to show strength to your children, show perseverance, show all these qualities that can get almost erased. You could take a perfectly happy person and turn their whole life upside down. They could never come back from it. And another person, they'll go off and make millions and ascend so much higher, had this person not ascended in spirit. And we're all ascending in spirit. Yeah, we are on the earthly plane as well, in the next realm, and then some. So if we can see life as just as much of a gift as death,
yes,
which is I don't know if that's an oxymoron or not, or if that's just reaching, like, oh, she just trying so hard to be so positive. But if we can transcend,
but you have to, you have to, you really do. You have to.
It's the perception.
Yeah, that's what it is. So number six is reconstruction and working through. So as you spoke a little bit about it, you can begin to put pieces of your life back together and carry forward. So I got that. And then number 7 is acceptance and hope. This is a very gradual acceptance of the new way of life and feeling the possibilities in the future.
What was 6 again?
6 was reconstruction and working through. So you kind of spoke on that. So that's kind of like the upward turn and kind of the continuation of that and just the actions after the upward turn.
Yeah. So let's say that you need to busy yourself to keep your mind off of things.
Exactly.
And the next thing you know, you become the next biggest cheese maker or pastry person, and now you got a business that's flourishing, and your children have a legacy to build off of. We never know. So these things you can reconstruct. That's awesome. I just wanted to touch on that because I wanted to make sure that I saw that part. But and then 7 is acceptance. I didn't know acceptance was going to be so far away.
But you know what? Because you have to go through everything. But for me, because I got my tops on how to heal, and actually acceptance and acknowledgement is my number 1. Because I feel that you have to know and accept what you're going through, regardless of what nobody is saying, and grieve, cry, do all of that. Don't deny yourself. Okay, now I'm hopping around. Let me not do that. But yeah, that's what that is.
No, that's not happening. These are perfect examples of different ways that, at the time I had Newports. I don't have Newports anymore in my life. Okay. So, Newports was like that was acceptance during that time. You know what I mean? That was depression. That was, and then sleep, that's Black folks' depression. So you've ascended, and wisdom tells you that's not the way. You know what I mean? Exactly. And and with that too comes growth, because there's an acceptance of your own existence. Because you start to look at the loss when you start losing people around you. It's check yourself before you wreck yourself. Protect your neck. So you start seeing things, and you're like, Now let's get into self-preservation. You know what I'm saying? Let's not hang out under coconut trees no more, because that might be your ass next time. So it makes you a little bit more mindful. Right.
So let me say this, because right now my producer over here, he like, we got to take a break. We got to take a break. So I know you had a previous appointment, and I want to thank you so much, Adama, for coming on and just sharing your story with me. Thank you so much. And like I said from the top of the hour, yes, I wanted my show to be about bridging the gap, and we're talking about everything from sex, love, relationship, and cultural differences and everything. But these past few weeks has been phenomenal. The things that I've been talking about, and I know where my growth and I know where my journey has been, because I could easily be here talking about sex, love, and relationship, and that is not what I was brought to do.
Well, I appreciate the conversation. To be honest, when you brought it up, I was like, that's interesting. I had a little boo thing a few weeks ago, and I was mourning the loss of the guy that I met, waiting for his punk ass to come back. And then once I realized he wasn't coming, that guy that I met wasn't coming back, and I was mourning the loss of him, I started the grieving process. And then we separated, and then I went through the sadness to the acceptance of like, wait a minute. And now, so when I think of mourning, I mourn him sometimes because all the fantasies and all the things that we shared and all these awesome things, but there is no grief. Okay. Because now I'm out, I can see things, and I'm like, oh, thank God. There's the gift. You don't feel it sometimes. That's why we'll never really understand the loss of things.
Yeah.
And especially in the moment, we'll take it as the worst thing that ever happened to us.
Yes.
And then a year from now, we'll be like,
oh, that was the best lesson,
understand.
the best thing
Here's
that
the
happened to
lesson.
me. Yes.
So it's all about the growth.
Yes.
Thank you, Naomi. I love you. And Doc Mike and everyone else who's here. I can't see anybody but me and you. Love you. Thank you for having me. And I'm gonna catch you next time. I'm gonna have to check out the rest of the show.
All right, baby.
All right.
Have a good one. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, guys. That was, I just love her so much. Her spirit is just so good. That was beautiful. Adama there just sharing her story with me. All right, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna take a quick little break. And then we're gonna come back. So you guys see, it's we're gonna go a little longer. We're gonna go longer than our hour. Because we can do that, because I own this shit. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna go, because there's some more stuff that we need to talk about. So while we go on the break, I'm gonna go to the comments and I'm gonna look at some of those. But here we go. I sponsor Sexy Is Cosmetics. Hey, it's your girl, the goddess Nyomi Banks, and Sexy Is Cosmetic is our official sponsor here at Ask Naomi Bridging the Gap. So you guys make sure you go by sexyiscosmetic.com and let them know Naomi sent you. Get a great discount. They are naturally 100% organic, vegan. They sell everything from soap to scrubs to everything for you to keep you sexy always. Sexy Is Cosmetics. Use the code AskNaomi for a 10% discount. All right. So I'm just going through the comments right now and just looking at some of the things right here. And I think Spider Moose, can you hit what Spider Moose was saying that he put up there? Spider Moose says guilt. He said, I don't know, it raises an ugly head, but unless you intentionally contributed to harming someone, I say it's an illegitimate notion. And I think with that, and I know we kind of going back on this when we talking to comments, because this comment was spoken about earlier. And we were being more in with the guilt is that we feel like sometimes we have lost that certain time with somebody due to whatever. Like for me, instance, it's me losing the time with that person because of some misunderstanding or something like that. And I think what Adama was saying, well, for her, she was just thinking about the moments that they did kind of have an argument. And like she said at one time when they were arguing over some pizza, and her not knowing that at that point in time that he was actually going through a stroke, but she didn't know that. And when you figured that I know everything, or I'm supposed to know everything or whatever like that, then that is where that guilt come in, because now you get to thinking about everything that happened. It's like a replay in your mind.
You missed out on it.
Oh yeah. Most definitely. Like, yeah, most definitely from that. Let's go to another. Thank you, Spider Moose. Let's go to another comment. All right, D2 Cuff said, reading destroys depression. It forces attention away from what depresses you. Reading destroys depression. It forces attention away from what you depress you. All right, so because you've been very quiet here, Mike, I'm gonna get this to you. Do you understand what D12 code was meaning by that? Okay.
He's saying reading this gets rid of shit. It just takes your mind off of what you depressed about. But the thing is this depression is so strong that a lot of people, they can kind of strive through depression. Mm-hmm. Back in the day when I used to write poems and scripts and stuff. Mm-hmm. And every time I wrote, I feel like I wrote better when I was depressed. Mm. And that is deep. And I even say it to this day. And when you get to a point when I got to a point where things are, happy, settled, I found myself writing less. So was that depression is so big and so powerful, some people may not even want, because some people can excel through depression. And that's why you may hear some situations of, well, why that person kill herself? Why that person do that? They came to work, they were so happy. They, athletes and people, poet and everybody, you think, look at them, think they doing so well, then all of a sudden, right, they killed themselves. Why is that? Yeah, because that they was covering that depression with what we look at like, oh wow, they got it all together. They're doing so well. They're doing, Exactly.
The beautiful young lady that we were talking about, she was the
model and
the model pageant winner. She was a Miss USA, Miss
Yes.
If I said this, I misspoke, but she jumped off her balcony.
Yeah.
You know, and when her mom had did this nice little write-up of her, and she actually responded, and she said that no one really knew what she was really going on to just recently.
Exactly.
And for me, that's like, wow, like, you know, just as Adama, she's gone right now, but Adama had said, you know, she was like depression. And if I don't know if y'all looked at her face, and yes, I'm saying this because if you look at her face, she was like, no, I'm not going through depression. Exactly. That's what it was. It was like a negative thing. And people tend not to share that with anybody because that's like a bad stigma on them. You know, and I guess that's where it comes from with the mental health situation and things like that. You know, that if I'm depressed, then it's something seriously wrong with me, or that I'm weak, or that I can't handle it, or that I can't do anything. And not knowing that literally, when I say this, and I truly believe this, at least 98%, if not 99% of this country, of this world, is going through a depression right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have to think about it. We went through a pandemic in 2020 that locked us all down. We has not have the resources, or we couldn't even come together to celebrate death or just loving each other, you know, having any of those things. Exactly. So we've been isolated to ourselves with our own thoughts that we haven't been able to do anything with. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay, let's go to another question. All right, James A said mental health is very important. It's still not talked about enough to educate people, but people like us are making sure that that's not the case. You are exactly right, James. That's something. It's something I talked about in last week in a video that I posted last year with coping with COVID in that aspect. Myself and I have been very open about me going through anxiety. I went through anxiety through my first marriage. I went through the anxiety with my second birth with that one. And I struggled a lot, and I actually went through it through my third. And I never understood what that was. But as I started to go through it and start to really look it up, it was more of my fear. It was more of my fear, the unknown for me, and that I have worked on in getting so much better with that. With the anxiety is not as bad, and the depression is not bad. You understand what I'm saying? But I knew this is a thing, and this is why I say I knew I was supposed to have been doing this show right now here, because I knew something differently was happening to me, and not because that friend of mine I loved any less. That wasn't it. It's just I just knew that I hadn't felt that way since my grandmother and my father passed away. So I knew, like, it is something that is happening to me right now that I need to speak about, because guess what? I know that other people are feeling this way, because we had a whole lot of deaths. And just recently, we had two beautiful young people who we thought the world of that just took their life away. You understand? And we can go back to Robin Williams. We could go back to Robert Williams. They had everything in the world, that at least what we saw. And this man took his life.
And thought he hit the world. We on the outside looking in.
You know, so I don't I'm not want to say that I know everything, but I guess my thing is that, okay, let's try to heal from this. Let's talk to each other. Let's talk about it. Let's talk to each other. So within me posting this the other day, I had a young man, I forgot his at, I think it was nerd something, whatever. But he did share something with me that he had actually went through some depression and grieving that he could not understand, because he was losing people after, you know, like people were dying, person after person after person after person. And I know that because that's what happened to me. Actually, Adama's mother was the first person that kicked it off. I believe that was in 2008, because my father died in 2009. So in 2008, her mother was the first one to pass away. And then after that, 8 women in our family passed away in that year. At that time, my father was sick. In 2009 is when my father passed away. He kicked off where there was a slew of men that had passed away within that year and a half. So within those 2, almost 3 years, we were going to a funeral 2 funerals like every other week, you know. So in that, it was like, wow, like
that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yes, that's a lot.
That's a lot. But there was a book that he had told me about, and I went and purchased the book, and it came in today. I really didn't have time to actually read it all, but I did pull out some. It's called "What I Wish I Known" by Kristen Hugstad. Now, this young lady right here, she actually wrote this book after her husband committed suicide. And this is can you see it right here? Right here. I got my little tabs right here. Some things that I want to write, but her name is Kristen Hugstad. Is it right here? So this is her right here. And even through the even through the preface, it spoke values to me. Even in the first few sentences, it said, "You probably picked this book up because you lost someone you love very much and are seeking relief, or maybe it is in your hands because you came across it in a bookstore or a friend house or whatever, curious about the contents. Whatever your situation, you'll discover that what I wish I know will get you through any kind of grief you experience." All right, so in this one, she actually has 2 parts, and there's 18 chapters. It's 18 chapters. And so I was just scrolling through it, and I came to chapter 14. 14 is my favorite number. 14 is my favorite number. And what it says here is the chapter of think. And it says, true healing from your pain and moving forward and gratitude has a key ingredient of honesty. Being open and honest with yourself and seeing the whole picture of what has happened are absolutely essential to moving through your grief. Being honest hinges first and foremost on how and what you think. So what was his name that said about the face just being, was it Spider Moose? The poker face. Okay, the poker face is good if you got nothing else. Fake it until you make it. But sometimes that fake it until you make it can send you into a spiral, a downward spiral. It truly can. It truly can. All right, so let me go on to the next right here. It's actually, she gives a few little how you think on how to kind of identify, you know, some of the things that you are going through and kind of do it. So I'm going to read a few of them to you right now. It says how to think. Identify your triggers. Identify your triggers will help you manage them. Grab a pen and a paper, write down as many internal and external triggers as you can. Ask yourself where you were, what was happening when you experienced the triggers, what did you hear or see, and how were you feeling, and what were you thinking? What did your body feel like? So remember, so let me say this because this is so ironic. And so you guys saw when Adama was on. I'm sorry because I'm using you again, but you saw when Adama was on here and she was speaking and she said that she felt tingles all through her body because at that time, that is what she was truly speaking, started to speak what she was truly feeling. Because remember, at one time she said, I suppressed it. But then she came back a little bit. Yes, because you probably texted me. Did you really do that? She came back and said, I was depressed. She said she used the cigarettes. What's the cigarettes? Newports. She used the Newports, you know, and that is something that, you know, people do go to. They go to alcohol. They go to, you know, certain other things to kind of camouflage or hide that certain feeling that they're going through, you know, so they can't feel that. Right. Because when you feeling depressed or you feeling a certain way, you know, people would think it's something, but then it's also is really truly having that support. And this is where I go about healing, is having a support system around you that know how to support you in it. You know, not tell you don't cry.
Right.
Don't cry.
Instead of saying let it out. Cry.
Let it out. Cry. Let's talk about it. Let's do that, you know. But let's not stay there. That's the thing, is let's teach people how to move on from there. And I truly feel is that this is why I'm doing this, because I am moving through it. And I don't think it was just for my good girlfriend. I think it was just for the whole thing of everything, period. Yeah. I think it was for the whole thing, period. And I know I might not have a lot of numbers here today, but I know that this video right here is going to hit a lot of people.
Yes, it will.
It sure will. It's going to hit a lot of people.
Yeah.
All right. That was the one, and that's it on that one. And that's it on that one. So let's do this. Let's take a little break. We're gonna come back for what is my healings?
Yes, your healings.
My tops for healings, and then we're gonna go to social connection with the one question that I had. And then I have my last comments, and then we're gonna close out. But this is Sexy Is Cosmetics. Go ahead. Hey, it's your girl, the goddess Nyomi&x, and Sexy Is Cosmetic is our official sponsor here at Ask Nyomi Bridging the Gap. So you guys make sure you go by sexyiscosmetic.com and let them know Nyomi sent you. Get a great discount. They are naturally 100% organic, vegan. They sell everything from soap to scrubs to everything for you to keep you sexy always. Sexy Is Cosmetics. Use the code AskNyomi for a 10% discount. All right. Ooh. So let me tell you something what happened, right? So I got some new contacts. Well, they're not new. They've been here for a while. I hadn't really been to the eye doctor in about 2 years. So I buy my contacts in bulk. My prescription contacts in both, and I really need my glasses like this. My glasses sit like this on my face because I sleep in my glasses once I take off my contacts. So I put in some new contacts today, and not that they irritate, but it was like I've been without contacts for the past few days, and I was like, oh, I really want to go on live without contacts in, but then I wouldn't be able to see nothing. Nothing at all. So I'm over here sitting here just trying to hope. And the thing is that my right and my left eye are two different prescriptions. So I think I flipped them. And I think that's what's going on right now, that I flipped them. So you guys gotta, kind of just excuse me. Yeah, why I'm doing this, because I'm seeing, but it's kind of twinkling in my eye from this. But I said that we was gonna talk about my tops for healing. Healing with grieving. Okay, let me go through my paper, and I hope I brought them down. All right, so this is what I said. Nyomi tops healing tips for grief. I need to do a what's the name of a ting, right? Okay. All right, so my number one is acknowledge the pain, the hurt, and allow yourself to have those moments. And it's like, don't run away from them. Make sure that you know what it is and how you feeling. And I believe I spoke about this on with the self-love, as well as making sure you acknowledge it, but also with that acknowledgement is the gratitude for it. And I believe Adama spoke about that as well, about being gracious. And it sounds weird, but being gracious for you having that feeling of grief. And it's more for the person who has passed away. Right. It's more that you were able to share life with that person. That person was in your life to show you or teach you or do something in your life that you were a part of. You understand what I'm saying? So with that is acknowledge the grief, cry. Don't give yourself a time limit on it. You know what I'm saying? Just don't get stuck. Just don't get stuck. It was a time after my dad passed away. I remember I lived in California. My mom was in Chicago, and my sister was I believe she was in Louisiana or something like that. On this particular day, we all smelled my father. Mind you, my father had not lived long enough to be able to make it to my home in California. But I smelled his king size cool cigarettes in that red Irish Rose liquor. I smelled that. And I remember calling my mom and my sister, and they were like, oh, we smell him too. Like literally at the same time, like we smelled that. And what I'm saying is that those are, type of memories and things that you can remember from that. So that's what I say, acknowledge the grief. And this was after he was gone for a good year or two, that you still smell and hear certain things that can be very pleasing to your ear. You understand what I'm saying? So acknowledge that grief. Be gratitude. Thank you for having that person was in your life for that. So find something positive within that. That will help you move on, for a better life. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say, better life. All right, number 2, be gentle with yourself. And there is no specific, like I said before, there's no specific time frame in the place of someone to accept their loss and move on from grieving. Don't judge yourself harshly and not doing better or taking too long along the way. You know, I had asked, and I'm so glad that she came on, because I'm kind of using her as an example of a lot of things. Because one question that I did ask her, because she actually sat with her father for the last days, his last days. And so she kind of knew what was happening, because she just went through that years before with her mother. So she knew what the setup was. She knew what it was that was getting ready to happen. So she's already been, as she said, through the mourning stages of it. So it was like more of a backwards rotation for her. So my question was was the grief more you, or was it more of family? Because now it's new to the family, because the family wasn't in that moment. The family wasn't in that energy space. That family wasn't there. But now that you have taken yourself out of that and brought yourself into this energy space, could it be the influences from them that had that grief come on to you when you've already done that? You understand what I'm saying? Right. So in number 2 is be gentle with yourself. Take your time. Take your time. To this day, I still think about my dad. I still think about my grandmother. I still think about my cousin Poppy. Like, I still do those things, and I talk to them. I'm not gonna lie. I talk to them when I'm praying, when I'm speaking, and I speak to them. And yes, they send me messages and they speak right back. You say, Nyomi, you crazy? Maybe. But that helps me. That helps me along the way. And it helps me become a better person. And I'm able to be more gentle with myself and understanding things more. Can you agree with that one? All right, number 3, journal, write your thoughts and your feelings. All right, so I heard you say, and I heard what young man said, that when you write, sometimes for you, you write better when you depressed, but does it do anything for you? Does it help you to get out of that?
Probably not. No.
You know, for me, I'm the opposite. When I write, I love to write. I love to write. It helps me release things. It makes my mind more creative. It makes my emotions more creative, especially if I'm dumping things that I no longer want in my life, or I no longer want in my inner soul or in my inner spirit. And I guess I've learned to, you know, take that and toss it or throw it or burn it or whatever like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So for that, because sometimes people don't know how to express themselves verbally. So sometimes writing on a piece of paper and journaling and don't nobody have to read it, take it, journal, write it down, and throw it away. Sometimes that's the best thing for some people. But as Mike said, that's not good for him. That what it does is that it makes him more depressed, or, I don't want to say whatever, but it doesn't help. But for me, it does. And so I'm giving you my tips. Right. I'm giving you my tips. So it says my number 4, surround yourself with loved ones that support you in your healing. And what I mean by this is that surround yourself with people that know how to handle your heart, that know how to handle your soul, that is not about them, but they make it about you. And what I mean by that is that they see that you're hurting and you need some encouragement, some inspiration, words of wisdom, words of love, to know that it's okay for you not to be stuck, but it's okay for you to be there and speak to you in a gentle way. And you understand what I'm saying? They kind of be with you in whole. So that's a part of mine, is make sure that I'm surrounding myself around people that are very supportive. Because when my good girlfriend passed away, literally majority of my aunties, because they knew this was my good girl, crazy girlfriend that would do anything in the world, they all called me. Literally, they called. I was one auntie I ain't spoke to in I don't know how long, in about a year or so. She called me, and and it was like, wow. My cousins, some of my closest cousins, they called me, was like, man, I can't believe it, and that's what you need. Like, one of my best friends, like my sister, sat on the phone for me for hours, on the phone talking, playing music, drinking wine, just kicking it, taking shots of tequila. Both of their asses had to be at work the next morning where my sister was in the closet with COVID. But they still stuck it out with me. You know what I'm saying? You know, because they knew, and she was a part of the crew, you know. And when you think about somebody being that young, you know, you be like, wow, that's one of us. Right. You know, so they kind of hit differently. So the thing is that make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people that's going to support you in what you're doing. And if you don't have that, then go find somebody. Yeah. Go find somebody. It's a bunch of online grief counselors out there that will help you. That's actually my number 8. But make sure you guys go out there and find, because this is the time that we need to be speaking to each other and not judging each other, not making fun of each other, none of that. Number 5, exercise and activity has something else to focus on. Mm-hmm. That is so true. That is so true. It actually releases some kind of chemicals that's in your body when you're doing these things, and you be good. All right, number 6, create a new tradition about or for that loved one that keep their memory going, or their memories of them going. And this is something that I do, and this is something that I tell a lot of my loved ones, is try to find something of that loved one that has passed away. I myself created a foundation, and I'm bringing it back, called the Papa Life Foundation, for my cousin's godbrother. And he passed away from MS some years ago. But for me, this was my tradition. This was to help me to get through that, because he was younger than me. And then with my dad, I remember I made this point for him, is that I will live on. You weren't able to do everything that you set out to do, but I will do that and more. You understand what I'm saying? And even in things that I do within my household, I make those traditions and things that I do, and I honor those people that are not in my life that were close to me. I honor them in that form, you know, especially when you're talking about, like I heard when Adama said that, you know, her having some kids and her not having grandparents there, right. You know, this something that, you know, and I will help her to create a kind of tradition to where she can speak a celebration or a grandparents' day or something like that, where we can speak about her parents, and or where she can show them a movie day or something, because they were beautiful people. They were very beautiful people. So, you know, something like that. So this is my thing, is that even with you, if your mother, father, uncle, brother, whatever passed away, use them in their form here and add a tradition. Be creative with it and do something in that source. All right, my number 7. Research books that can help you along the way. I want to thank that young man again for this, because I'm going to read some more of this. I'm going to read some more of this book. You know, read the books, research things. Like I said, when I started feeling crazy, I knew something was going on crazy with me, and I had to understand what was my body going through. Right. What was it going through, and why was I going through this emotional thing? And then number 8. If you can't get it all together through 1 through 7, you need to go see a professional. And it ain't nothing wrong with going to see a professional. Seriously, to go see a professional. All right, so we're going to take one more break. We're going to come back for social connection, and then we're going to close it out.
Hey, it's your girl, the goddess Nyomi&x, and Sexy Is Cosmetic is our official sponsor here at Ask Nyomi Bridging the Gap. So you guys make sure you go by sexyiscosmetic.com and let them know Nyomi sent you. Get a great discount. They are naturally 100% organic, vegan. They sell everything from soap to scrubs to everything for you to keep you sexy always. Sexy Is Cosmetics. Use the code AskNyomi for a 10% discount.
See, every time I like that ding. I like that ding. Wow. I like that ding. All right, so I only just posed one question on social for my social connection this week. And it was really because I was really going through it with this mourning or grief versus mourning. And I was saying that the question that I posed was, is there a difference between grief and mourning. Because honestly, I was like, I thought that I was past the grief, that it was like the mourning, because usually it's the grief, then mourning. And that's what it was. And but that's not what happened. That's what that did not happen for me. So what I had thought, what the numbers that came back were, I understood, because even within the numbers, a few people kind of explained to me what it was, really gave me the breakdown what grief and mourning was, because sometimes we can kind of put them together and not knowing what the true meaning of it is. But actually, it was 84 yes, 16% no. 16% no was the percentage for that. That was the percentage for that. So that what our social connection. So let me say this, because we're going to close it out. What I want to do right now, I want to go back to the comments real fast, and then I'm going to close it out real fast, and then I'm going to see y'all next week, but let's close it out. So with the comments. Okay, so we're not going to close it out with the comments. We're not going to close it out with the comments. All right, those are comments right there. I want to say hello to Voodoo JP. Hey, Charmaine. Hey, Joseph. How you doing, baby? James, thank you so much for showing up and showing out. Jeffrey, thank you, baby. I think we all go through some depression. I have been depressed a lot, and I'm not sure how I get through this. My new friend helps, and they don't know this person is helping. Well, I'm glad that new friend of yours is helping you. And tell that new friend I say hello. Did you have experience with death when you were a kid, Nyomi? Spider Moose, yes, I did. Actually, when I really think about it, there were a lot of deaths at that time. Actually, my father's mother passed away, my Nana. She passed away when I was 10 years old. And she died from cancer. So that kind of hit hard. But, when you were a child, you really don't understand that. And then it was an uncle of mine that actually my Nana and my uncle, before they passed away, I dreamed the night before of them passing, which was crazy. And I didn't understand until, and I think I said this on Dow House Radio, on Hot Sugar Tea last Friday, is that a few days before my grandmother passed away, I had actually dreamed of a dark angel outside of my window. So I don't know if you guys ever have felt this when you guys are sleeping and you trying to get up and you feel like you woke, or you half woke, or you half sleep, and you trying to get up and it feel like it's a presence or something that is on your chest or whatever, that you can't get up or you can't get away. And so that's what I was having. But once I was able to rise up and get up, I looked outside my window. Mind you, is pitch black dark, but I'm able to see this vision of this black angel that's outside, like with, this. And I was like, what is that? So my sister, I thought, well, maybe that was a dream or something like that, or whatever. I don't know. But I felt a presence that was around in that area. And at this time, I was debating what should I do exactly with with Chocolate Radio. And we were going through, we were trying to figure out some financial things with that. We had quite a few shows on it. So we was trying to figure out how to kind of map it all out. And it was stressing me the hell out. That's what it was doing. It was stressing me the hell out. And I'm a person of all about signs. If I see a sign, then it's kind of telling me how to move. I move with prayer, I move with meditation, and I move with signs. So it was the week of AVN, and I was coming to Las Vegas, and I sat with my sister right before, AVN. And I remember when I was leaving, well, actually, when I came there, I saw Chocolate, Ethel M. Chocolates. That's my grandmother's name. And I was like, okay, so what that's telling me? Is that telling me I need to move forward with Chocolate Radio, or what? Like, is that a confirmation for me? Later on that weekend, I actually was able to sit down with my sister, and I talked to her about what it was, and she looked it up, and it was a death angel. And so for me, mind you, my grandmother is not sick. So I figured that was saying to me that it's the Death to Chocolate radio. That was on a Saturday. Sunday, I went to the airport. I got home. I got a phone call from my family back in Chicago telling me that they had to rush my grandmother to the hospital and that at that time she was okay. They brought her home. They sent her home. Monday morning, I get another call saying, you got to come home. We had to rush her to the hospital again. They said she might not make it through the day. So let me say this. When I heard that, that was like, oh, you read it all wrong. But I didn't get it then. Like, I didn't get it then. Right. So it was like, wow, like, okay. And that's why I think that's why I was in grief for so long, why I was in mourning in so long, because I knew before that it was going to happen, but not understanding exactly what that was. Right. Yeah. And what it meant. I didn't know exactly what that was or what it meant. But thank you, Spider Moves. Boy, that aviator picture of yours is scary, baby. All right, so Jeffrey Stonehead, there is nothing wrong with crying. Sometimes it helps to heal the pain. And you are so right, Jeffrey. Yes, it is. And it will clear out the eye ducts and everything. Yes, it will. It truly will. All right, so thank you, Jeffrey. Thanks for everybody who has came out to support right here on Ask Naomi, Bridging the Gap. We will be back next Thursday, same time, same place. If you like, share, comment, subscribe, everything. Make sure you guys go to Ask Naomi. Follow Ask Naomi. That is our Instagram page. You ain't got to follow me. Most of you do. But follow that. That is where I'm trying to get the numbers up for Ask Naomi over there on IG, on Twitter, and on Facebook there. Don't forget to go check out this book. You can go on Amazon. It's on Amazon right now. What I Wished I Knew. And it seems to be a great book. Like I said, I just read a few passages from it, and it was really, really good. So go check it out by Christy Hugstad. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and edit in a few days. And if anybody need any links to, anything else or any hotlines or any help, I'm going to do that in the next few days to put it down there for anybody else. But, I really don't have a moment, and I thought I was. I thought I would have a moment after this, and I think throughout the whole episode that we really talked really deep about it. Right. I think mostly about your energy in your spirit and building that up. Mm-hmm. Take the 7, look at the 7 stages and see where you fit in there. And from there, kind to help yourself from there. And also look at some of the tips that I said and really go Google some of the stuff. Go Google and look and find help. It's a lot of online grief counselors out there. I'm always there. Go to Ask Naomi and DM me. I will talk to you there. You understand? But I just hope that whoever's watching this, that it helped at some point in time. And if it didn't help you out and you think it helped somebody else, share this video with someone. Share it. Share it. I want to thank Miss Adama. Thank you so much for taking the time to sharing your story with me. Mike, thank you. Yep. My YouTube, my sexy listeners, thank you so much. Sexy is Cosmetics, thank you so much. As I always say, always keep it sexy. Be good to yourselves and each other.
Hey, it's the goddess Naomi Banks. And I hope you enjoyed that last episode of Ask Naomi, Bridging the Gap. And if you did, please like, subscribe, press that notification button, as well as comment. I'll see you next week. Keep it sexy.